Greetings everyone. Welcome to the ongoing series on making of contemporary India. In today's lecture, the topic of discussion would be Green Revolution and paradox of uneven development in independent India. When we talk about Green Revolution, a question that emerges is as to what are the key components of Green Revolution. So, when we say Green Revolution, it basically means a new agricultural strategy which involved use of high yielding variety, that is HYV seeds, that matures in short period of time. It also means application of fertilizers, manures and chemicals in the agricultural production. It also involves multiple cropping patterns that allow farmers to grow two or more crops on the same land as HYV seeds mature quickly. So, overall, all these processes help in the increase in total production. It also means mechanization of farming with the use of machines like tractors, harvesters, pump sets, etc. in the agricultural sector in a big way. It also involves better infrastructure facilities in terms of better transportation, irrigation, warehousing, marketing facilities, rural electrification, and all these were developed during the period of Green Revolution in India. It also involves better financial assistance through spread of credit facilities with the development of a wide network of commercial banks, cooperative banks and establishment of National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, that is NABARD, as an apex bank to coordinate the rural finance in India. So, with so many diverse developments, what was the impact? The impact of Green Revolution involved several kinds of price incentives involving provision of the minimum support prices for several crops so as to allow a reasonable price to farmers for their produce. Now, this also offered some kind of an incentive to the farmers to adopt the new farming practices, as they were quite different from what they had been following so far. Green Revolution resulted in several quantitative and qualitative changes in agricultural sector in India. The quantitative improvement occurs as a result of steep increase in the production of agricultural output. The qualitative improvement resulted in adoption of modernized technology in the sphere of agriculture, something which had not been operating at this specific scale. However, Green Revolution had different kind of impacts in the sense that there was a rise in personal inequalities also in rural areas. The income inequality between the rich and the poor increases due to several factors. For example, the owners of large farms were the main adopters of new technology because of their better access to irrigation, water, fertilizers, seeds and credit. And given the need for complex agricultural techniques and inputs, the Green Revolution benefits the large farmers, and the same happened in India also. The small farmers lagged behind the larger farmers, as small farmers had to depend upon traditional production method, and also they could not really afford to invest in the new technology. Since the rich farmers were already better equipped, the Green Revolution accentuated further the income inequalities between rich and the poor in the rural areas. Green Revolution resulted into lower product price and higher input prices, which also encouraged landlords to increase rents or force tenants to evict from the land. The mechanization further pushed down the wages of and employment opportunities for unskilled labor in the rural areas, thereby further widening the income disparities. Now, the impact of Green Revolution was not only felt in the rural areas, but it also increased regional disparities. Green Revolution spread mostly in irrigated and high potential rain-fed areas. So, the villages or the regions which had little access to water were left out, and this further widened the regional disparities between those states who had adopted Green Revolution strategies and those states who were the non-adopters. Since high yielding variety seeds could be applied only in land with assured water supply, as well as availability of several other inputs like chemicals, fertilizers, etc. So, the application of this new technology involving high yielding variety seeds was simply ruled out in dry land areas. So, as a result, the states like Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, etc., which had good irrigation and other infrastructure facilities, were able to derive the benefits of Green Revolution, and these were the states which achieved a faster economic development, while several other states recorded slow growth in agricultural production due to lack of availability of water supply. So, in this lecture, I would like to analyze the reasons that were working behind this, these kind of discrepancies, and how certain states like Bihar were disadvantaged vis-a-vis Punjab. For explanation, one can consider many factors, starting with discriminatory colonial policies, followed by natural determinants like land, population and its impact on the economy. Then the positive effects of the Green Revolution can also be analyzed, followed by the administrative and infrastructural inefficiencies of certain states like Bihar. However, another viewpoint is that is this kind of a comparison between states like Punjab, Haryana or Bihar, are these kind of comparisons still relevant? Because if we consider the current developments of Bihar, which started from a formidable agricultural growth and how its economic growth has increased, Punjab, which once was the richest state in India, now has a negative GDP growth rate. Anyways, going back to the very genesis of differential impact these two regions experienced due to several historical factors, one can consider the role of colonial policies. Punjab was the agricultural heartland of India because of extensive granaries that had been recovered as early as the Indus Valley civilization. So, during the colonial period around 1885, the colonial regime converted 6 million acres of barren wasteland into cultivable agricultural land in Punjab. Several canal colonies were built and the irrigated area also rose from 3 to 14 million acres from 1885 to 1947. Now, while all this was being done, the colonial administration also introduced several cash crops and also established an agricultural college in Faisalabad. The per capita agricultural output thereby increased by 45% from 1891 to 1921. Then another very important development was the Punjab Land Alienation Act of 1900, which prevented urban commercial classes from acquiring the land of cultivators. On the other hand, while 20% of people in Bihar were involved in spinning and related activities in the early 19th century, it had been reduced to 8.5% by the middle of the century. Once permanent settlement was introduced in the regions of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, the zamindars came to be recognized as the owners of the land. Also, indigo cultivation was introduced in a big way by the colonial state, and this ruined the entire agricultural ecosystem of Bihar. And as a result, large number of rural households in Bihar became landless, a trend that continued even after independence. The colonial policies played a significant role in the current developmental disparity between both these regions. If we talk about the population, land and economy, then the population of Bihar is 3.5 times more than that of Punjab. A balance between the population and economic growth is essential to absorb the growing human resources into productive sectors. However, in Bihar, the population growth is not supplemented by an equivalent growth in employment opportunities, both inside as well as outside agriculture. So, in Bihar, the contribution of the agricultural sector to the GDP fell from 63% in the 1970s to 34% in 2011. Similarly, in Punjab, it decreased from 57% in 1970s to 36% in 2011. However, while the agricultural laborers decreased from 63% in 1971 to 36% in 2011 in Punjab, it decreased from 82% in 1971 to only 71% in 2011 in Bihar. In other words, a 29% decline in GDP share was accompanied by only an 11% decrease in the labor force in Bihar. That is, the agricultural laborers are unable to keep pace with the rapid decline of agriculture's share in GDP. So, we see that the problem of unemployment as well as disguised unemployment was increasing the pressure on limited land resources. In 2015, the average land holding in Punjab was 7 times that of Bihar. This also explains as to why modern investment strategies in agriculture could not be experimented with in the fields of Bihar. Similar land holdings in Bihar often led the farmers devoid of the central government's price support also. Land holdings being fragmented after each inheritance, and the marginal landholders of Bihar found it very difficult to continue the agricultural activities. So, this marginalization of the agricultural workforce forced laborers in Bihar to migrate outside the state for seasonal or long-term employment. Now, one can also compare this situation to the miracle of Green Revolution, which was experienced by the states like Punjab and Haryana. While Punjab started growing in agricultural production, especially with the advent of Green Revolution, Bihar was left with minimal mechanization, continued with traditional cultivation methods, and very few high yielding variety seeds and fertilizers were being used here. Whereas in 1970, Punjab supplied 70% of India's food grains, and in fact there was a 70% rise in the income of farmers in the regions in Punjab and Haryana. While Punjab had the highest GDP in 1981, the lowest incidence of poverty, that was 8% in 2012, and the lowest level of hunger in 2008. On the other hand, Bihar had the lowest GDP among the Indian states and the fifth highest percentage of the population living below the poverty line, which was as much as 33.74%. Also, the net sown area in Bihar decreased from 1971 to 2012. However, it increased during the same period in Punjab. The cropping intensity of Bihar also was quite low as compared to Punjab. And even though fertilizer use per hectare in Bihar increased later on from 1970 onwards, it was still far behind Punjab that had far more greater use of fertilizers per hectare. So therefore, we can say that the infrastructure related facilities definitely were working behind the reason that per hectare capital expenditure in Bihar was less than a quarter of Punjab and less than half of the national average. In contrast to Punjab, physical and economic infrastructure was poorly developed in Bihar, while the percentage of irrigated farmland increased from roughly around 25% in 1971 to almost 59% in 2012 in Bihar. It increased from 75% in 1971 to almost 98% in 2012 in Punjab. The current percentage of irrigated farmland in Bihar is less than 1.2 times that of Punjab of the 1970s. So therefore, while by 1980s, Bihar started using groundwater for irrigation, however, the poor electricity supply and also an increase in diesel prices were the factors that kind of created roadblocks. However, in recent times, we definitely see a turnaround, which therefore makes it questionable as to why one should talk about regional disparity, specifically with reference to Punjab and Bihar. The agricultural growth rate of Bihar has become greater than many Green Revolution states. The agricultural growth rate of India from 2005 to 2014 was 3.6% and that of Bihar was 4.7%, which was 1.3 times more than the national average. And if we see the last 5 years, then the agricultural growth rate of Bihar, which was 7% as compared to the national average of 2%. And in fact, now Bihar is the fourth largest producer of vegetables and the eighth largest producer of fruits also. In fact, in 2009, World Bank designated Patna as the best city to start a business in India after Delhi. Now coming to Punjab, from 1971 to 1985, the agricultural growth rate of Punjab was definitely rising, and it was also much more than the national average of India. And from 2005 to 2014, the agricultural growth rate of Punjab was 1.61% as compared to 3.5% of the national average. So therefore, we see that green revolution state ultimately was not going to prevail for all time, and definitely there were other states like Bihar who had started performing better than the green revolution state of Punjab. Thank you.